Tom Tancredo, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. This is really, this hotel, it's amazing now. You walk around this hotel and you hear all these people with really good radio voices all over the place. Yours is one of them.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'll try to make it as deep as I can. Now, you know, we all have what we're given, and you just try to use it as best you can.
Well, you're doing a great
job. Well, you as well. I was just doing an intro to your column on human events, and I think I get the gist of what you're saying here. I haven't read it all the way through. It's just put in front of me. But Joe Wilson may have been out of order a little bit on the floor, but there was certainly truth to what he was saying.
And let me talk to that out of order issue. I can remember distinctly being on the floor of the House of Representatives when George Bush was addressing a joint session, and he brought up the issue of Social Security reform. Remember, for about 2 months, they were actually on the kick of trying to do something about Social Security. It went down pretty quickly.
This was in 2005.
Yeah. And the minute he started talking about it, the Democrats started booing and hissing and gahawing and chanting. Some of them were going, as I remember, they're going, untrue, untrue. I mean, what's the difference? He's talking about, and yet not a word was said about it the next day. Not one word. Now, you know, I'm not saying that we should do this all the time, but I am telling you that it is not unprecedented to have the president interrupted during a speech like this. And, you know, Lynn, bottom line, I suppose, is this. Politics ain't beanbag, as the old saying goes. You know, it's a tough game.
It's kind of a blood sport, as the title of a book once said. But, I mean, you couldn't have a joint speech to Congress if everybody was doing this constantly. But,
no.
But you know, what was the byword during the Bush administration? It was Bush lied. People died.
Oh,
that's what we heard constantly.
Good point. Excellent point. That's an excellent point. And we have, in this administration, we've got say in this administration, we have Harry Reid calling Bush a liar. I mean, saying those words. He is a liar. George Bush is a liar. No apologies were demanded and were given. As I say, it's a blood sport. It's not a pretty game sometimes. And I'm not saying anybody should say those things. I'm saying it does happen. And I'm not saying that Joe shouldn't have been a little more temperate in his. But I'll tell you this. I thank God that it happened the way it did, only for this reason. It's now an issue so big that the president had to actually cave in on it on Friday night late after the press has gone to bed. Not that the major press around here would carry it anyway, but you know, Fox and you guys wouldn't pick up on the fact that he was caving on the issue by saying, yeah, we need verification. This would never be happened before. This, I'm telling you, wouldn't have happened if McCain were president.
I want to follow up on that a little bit, because there has been an incident that happened yesterday, and we're low on time for the segment, but if you can stay through.
Absolutely.
We'll hear the music play here in just a moment. We'll have to go, but we'll come back. Let me set this up, and then I want to ask you about it. Apparently, this was on WLS radio in Chicago, and they were interviewing Charles Gibson, the anchor of ABC World News Tonight. And they asked him something about Acorn. I'm sure you're familiar with some of the undercover video that's been coming out. Glenn Beck has been doing yeoman work on this. And Gibson said anything about it.
Right. I think it was O'Reilly. I'm not sure, but I think he put him up. And it's somebody I was watching anyway. I saw the words and heard his voice behind him saying, yeah, exactly what you're saying. I don't know anything about this. Let's leave this to the cables, he said. Yeah,
this is maybe a better cable story. What in the world is wrong with journalism in this country? I mean, it's dead.
That type, you know, the type that's designed to just be a mouthpiece for the liberal administration, I hope so. I hope it's dead. Because that does not do us any favors in this country. But you know what is great, Lynn? I'm telling you, we are witnessing something here, and I hope your listeners are aware of this, because I know that they feel like they do matter. You guys, we are winning. You look at what has happened here. Well, we'll look at it when we come back.
All right, we'll do that. Former Congressman Tom Tancredo from Colorado, and I'll ask him what he's up to these days, because he's still out there fighting, ladies and gentlemen, fighting the good fight. We'll be right back.
I used to be in the U.S. Department of Education. When I was first came into federal government, I had a call. I was in the state legislature in Colorado, and I was a Reagan surrogate speaker and a delegate. And so when I got elected, I get this call and says, "We'd like you to be in the administration." And I said, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Me, Tom Tancredo?" He said, "Yes, we understand your background as education." I said, "What do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, something in the Department of Education." And I said, "Oh gosh, don't get me wrong." I said, "Don't be insulted when I tell you this, but I have to turn you down." And he goes, "Why not?" "Why?" And I said, "Because I don't believe we should have a U.S. Department of Education." And then the guy goes, "Well, that's why we're calling you."
And then George W. Bush expanded it, and it gets back to this thing that I think Roger said last night over at the reception that we had. He said, "Look, I wasn't here last year at this event, but I was here 2 years ago. George W. Bush was in the full flower of his presidency, and we were on this illegal immigration event just as hard with a Republican president as we are now with a Democrat president.
And we're getting farther with the Democrat."
Yeah, so I think Jimmy Carter is basically full of crap, if I may use that term on the radio, and I think I just did, to say that this all has racial undertones.
Race. That's their last line of defense always. No matter what you say, no matter what your motive is. I mean, there are probably people in this country who dislike Barack Obama and are going to be opposed to him because he's black. That's probably true. There are people in this country, black people in this country, who hated George Bush because he was white. I mean, there's plenty of racism that can go around, but generally, Americans generally are not taking sides on this issue because of the color of anybody's skin. I tell you, I'd have so many Obama stickers on my car, it would look like a campaign poster for him if he'd be a conservative.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting thing. Some doctor made the Republican response to the joint session, and I don't remember his name. I remember watching it. I don't remember a word he said. The Republican response was Joe Wilson, "You lie." That was the Republican response, and there's never been one like it.
It's great.
Never been one like it.
You're absolutely right. Nobody read the slide. In fact, I have no idea who that guy was. I didn't serve with him, so I just don't know him. But even if I had served with him, it's possible I wouldn't know him. It was not much of a response.
Let me ask you a question. Where would we be right now if it weren't for the new media, or for Fox News, for talk radio, for internet blogging?
I'll tell you where we'd be. We'd have all of these kinds of bills would be going through Congress like through a goose. The president, Acorn would be funded again. What was that guy that got canned from the czars?
Van Jones.
Van Jones. He'd still be in place.
The communist.
Yeah, the communists. And it would be times 100 because all those things are happening. But isn't it amazing, Lynn? Once again, I go back to this. We're winning. Mm-hmm. We are winning these battles, even though the quote national media, the big media, whatever you want to say, is not with us. As Rush says, the statist media.
I call them the Jurassic Press.
I like it.
And people say, I don't even have to explain it. I mean, it just goes right into their heads.
I like it.
Do you think the racist element to this, that the fact that they're going to that is actually, like you say, indicative of winning?
Absolutely, we are winning when it's been my experience being in politics as long as I have, and it's been a long time, that when people start calling you names, and it certainly has happened to me a lot, it indicates that you are winning the intellectual argument. They have no more. They have no more intellectual arguments to advance, so they start yelling names at you in the hopes that the whole debate will move away from the issues to things like personalities. But here's the flip side for them. When most Americans hear this, they personalize it. They think that he's calling them a racist. And they'll say in their own heart, they'll go, that no good. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know why I'm mad. And I'm not a racist. And it's got nothing to do with that. And I tell you, this is a bad strategy or tactic that they are employing here. It's going to bite them, and it should, because it's a rotten, no good way to try to advance an agenda.
That's all they got, apparently.
That's all they got.
Well, it does seem to be that way. What are you doing right now?
Talking to you.
Other than that.
Okay. I am running the Rocky Mountain Foundation in Colorado. Go online.
That's with Babe Buchanan.
That's also Team America with Babe Buchanan. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
She's going to be here later this afternoon.
I'll tell you what, you've done some great work, and we appreciate you so much.
I feel exactly the same about you.
Tom Tancredo, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back from Washington.